Assalamu alaikum. 6 p.m. This is Radio Pakistan, the news read by Mariam Khan. First, the headlines. Prime Minister says no negligence will be tolerated in resolutions of public complaint on a Pakistan citizen portal. Advisor on finance says the government's difficult decision in the economic sector have started bearing fruits. Pakistan and China have decided to expedite work on a western route in the second phase of China-Pakistan Economic Corridor project. India admits over 330 incidents of a protest in occupied Kashmir since its August 5th step. United States has announced to deploy thousands of additional troops to enhance defense of Saudi Arabia. National T20 Cricket Cup will commence in Faisalabad tomorrow. And now the news in detail. Prime Minister Imran Khan says no negligence will be tolerated in a resolution of public complaints on a Pakistan citizen portal. The Prime Minister has directed authorities concerned to ensure that the decision with regards to resolution to drop a complaint shall be backed by the requisite approval from the competent authority. The directions have been conveyed to 4 provinces through a letter by the Prime Minister's office. The letter reiterated that any officer in his official capacity or as a focal person is not authorized to resolve or drop a complaint until the same has been approved by the authority competent to do so. The letter noted that the administrative head of the concerned organization shall be held responsible for the quality of complaint resolution processes. Advisor on Finance Abdul Hafiz Sheikh says difficult decisions taken by the government has started bearing positive results on the economic front. Addressing a news conference along with the FBR chairman Shabar Zaidi in Islamabad today about the economic situation of the country, he said the government has overcome the fiscal and a trade deficit. He said that the trade deficit witnessed a decrease of 35% and a fiscal deficit 36% during the first quarter of the current fiscal year. Hafiz Sheikh said that the current account deficit has been reduced to the record level. For this, we struck arrangements with the friendly countries as well as IMF, the World Bank, and the Asian Development Bank. He said our exchange rate and foreign reserves are standing at strong levels with the 16% surge in revenues. He said 800,000 additional people have come to the tax net. The advisor said the government has not made any borrowing from the State Bank of Pakistan over the last 3 months with the aim to keep the inflation. He said we have also not taken supplementary grants as there is a check on the expenditures. Hafiz Sheikh said non-tax revenues has contributed 406 billion rupees in the first quarter of the current fiscal year. He said that the confidence of foreign investors is also increasing in Pakistan. He said there has been an additional $340 million net portfolio investment. Pakistan and China have decided to expedite work on the western route in the second phase of China-Pakistan Economic Corridor project. The understanding came during a meeting between the Chinese delegation headed by its transport minister and minister for communication Murad Saeed in Islamabad today. It was decided that to construct 1,270 kilometers of a road on the western route in second phase. The road infrastructure will be constructed from the Gilgit to Chitral and Di Khan to Job. Railways Minister Sheikh Rashid Ahmed has directed officers concerned to remove technical obstacles on railways tracks and addresses causes by the locomotive failure. He was chairing a meeting at the railways headquarters in Lahore today. Later, addressing a press conference, Sheikh Rashid Ahmed said deficit of Pakistan Railways will overcome in the next 3 years. He said 4 bogies of economy class will be attached with the Jinnah Express from 15th of this month, and the fare of economy class will be reduced for the Jinnah Express. He said swift facility will be provided to the passenger on ML1 and ML2. Delegations of international financial institutions, including the IMF, World Bank, and the Asian Development Bank, will pay visits to Pakistan in October and November as per schedule. In a statement today, a spokesperson of the finance ministry said these delegations will hold talks on the government's economic reforms agenda and its implementation. The spokesperson rejected the reports that any political march or activity will hinder their visits. This is Radio Pakistan giving you the news. Turkish President Recep Tayyip Erdogan says his country will continue to support for the resolution of Kashmir issue according to the aspiration of Kashmiri people and the relevant UN resolutions. He was talking to Speaker National Assembly Asad Kesser during a meeting on the sidelines of the Third Regional Speakers Conference in Istanbul. The Turkish president termed the revocation of Article 370 and 35A by India as illegal and immortal act. He demanded an end to the curfew and oppression in the Indian-occupied Kashmir. President Erdogan underscored the importance of brotherly and friendly relations between Turkey and Pakistan. He said Prime Minister Imran Khan in his address at the UN General Assembly represented Muslim Ummah and Kashmiri people in real sense. Erdogan said all the religions reject terrorism and extremism, and linking the two to any specific religion is condemnable. Speaker National Assembly said Pakistan and Turkey are intertwined in unprecedented relations of religions, fraternity, history, and culture. He said Pakistan is proud of its exemplary friendship with Turkey. Asad Kesser said both the countries stand shoulder to shoulder in the times of difficulty. Indian government has admitted that there were over 330 incidents of a protest in occupied Kashmir since the abrogation of special status of the held territory 2 months ago. Internal security report of the Indian government says most of these demonstrations were stone peddling incident which were followed by the civil protest. The report said that the 67% of these protests were held in Srinagar, Budgam and Pulwama. Meanwhile, Kashmiri people are suffering immensely strict military lockdown imposed by the Indian government entered the 69th running day today. On the other side, Indian troops continued the ongoing cordon and search operation in Gandarbal district on 16th consecutive day today. The United States has announced to deploy thousands of additional troops to enhance the defense of Saudi Arabia. In a statement, U.S. Defense Secretary Mark Esper said he has authorized the development of the additional forces, including the fighter jets, in response to potential threats in the region. The move comes after an attack on Saudi Arabia's oil facilities last month. Turkish forces and the Syrian National Army have taken control of the Syria's Ras al-Ain during their success operation in northeast of Syria to purge PKK terrorists. This was announced by the Turkey's Defense Ministry on Twitter today. Turkish launched the Operation Peace Spring to eliminate the terrorists from the northern Syria in order to rescue its border, aid in the safe return of Syrian refugees, and ensure the Syria's territorial integrity. Meanwhile, over 100,000 civilians have been displaced due to war in the northeastern parts of the country. The spokesman of the UN Secretary-General Stefan Dujarric said that the Secretary-General appealed to all parties to exercise restraint, protect civilians, and act in line with their obligation under the UN Charter and international humanitarian law. National T20 Cricket Cup will commence in Faisalabad tomorrow. Six teams, including Khyber Pakhtunkhwa, Balochistan, Sindh, Northern, Central, and Southern Punjab, are taking part in the tournament. The winning team will be awarded 5 million rupees prize, while the runner-up will get 2.5 million rupees. And finally, the weather report. Mainly dry weather is expected in most parts of the country, while cold and dry in the northern areas during the next 12 hours. Before we end the bulletin, here once again the headlines. Prime Minister says no negligence will be tolerated in resolutions of the public complaint on Pakistan Citizens Portal. Advisor on finance says the government's difficult decision in economic sector have started bearing fruit. Pakistan and China have decided to expedite work on a western route in the second phase of China-Pakistan Economic Corridor project. India admits over 330 incident of a protest in occupied Kashmir since August 5th step. United States has announced to deploy thousands of additional troops to enhance defense of Saudi Arabia. National T20 Cricket Cup will commence in Faisalabad tomorrow. And that is the end of the news. For more news and analyses, log on to our website radio.gov.pk and also watch live video streaming of our bulletin on the link facebook.com/Radio Pakistan News Official.